So, I don't know about any of you, but I've kind of had this persistent issue with Wizards' newest rarity. That being the whole mythic above mythic, the masterpiece rarity. And some people don't consider it a thing, they just consider it like a lottery ticket, but at its most like technical, like base form, it's another rarity. It's pretty similar to like what Yu-Gi-Oh has done in the past before and Pokemon's done in the past before. And I really can't blame Wizards of the Coast for wanting to do it for Magic too. And while I was a bit skeptical about it first, I was actually totally against it because I thought that it just wasn't good for the game. I'm also part of the mindset that also thinks that Mythic Rares shouldn't exist, but they've been around for 10 years at this point. I think they came out in 2007, 2008, Shards of Alara, whichever set that year that came out. How many times did I say that in that freaking sentence? Jesus fucking Christ, stop saying that. Ever since then, there's been people that have been okay with it. There have been people that haven't been okay with it. One of the biggest voices that was against Mythic Rares, from what I can recall, is Evan Irwin from the Magic Show. Go subscribe to him if you haven't. Shout out to him. He makes amazing content. So we had Mythic Rares for about 10 years or so. And then come towards the end of 2015, when Battle for Zendikar comes out, they spoiled that they're releasing special cards for the set. Like one out of every 6 booster boxes or some sort of weird random ass number like that, you'd get a full art land. And everyone went ecstatic for it because they showed sweet lands. They showed like the shock lands and the fetches and a bunch of other cool stuff. I think it was 2 cycles and then like 5 additional lands on top of that. And not only that, but they also did it again for the next set in the block, Oath of the Gatewatch. And that got a lot of people excited because it was this whole lottery ticket aspect of it. And a lot of people say that this whole lottery ticket thing only existed because Battle for Zendikar itself was a garbage set and they needed a way to sell packs. And while I think Gideon himself can sell packs, the lottery cards, if they weren't in the set, I don't think that the set Battle for Zendikar would have been sold as much as it was, because people from the beginning, after spoilers had gone up, realized that was a bad set. So a lot of people think that Wizards did that whole lottery card expedition thing for just to sell packs. So fast forward to Oath of the Gatewatch, they released some other sweet lands in there, and a few of them weren't that great, like Dust Bowl, and there's a few others that doesn't come to mind. But there were other sweet ones, like Horizon Canopy, I think. I'm pretty sure Horizon Canopy was in there. But like just a bunch of other valuable lands, and it had people thinking it was like, okay, so not all the cards are going to be sweet cards, right? Because you could have the chance of opening up a Dust Bowl, which is, if I recall correctly, it was worth like $5 to $9 at the time. But there was also a lot of speculation that people were thinking like maybe this was a test run, Oath of the Gatewatch and Battle for Zendikar. They were showing these sweet cards and like testing out the water, seeing if people would react to them well enough or not. And people did. So come the next block, Shadows over Innistrad, Eldritch Moon, there was none of that. No like expeditions or anything. People thought that like, oh, maybe this was just for Battle for Zendikar. So fast forward to Kaladesh, and Wizards announces that they're releasing the Inventions as part of the Masterpiece series. And so the Masterpiece series, I'm sure all of you know, it's going to be just like the Expeditions were, except it's going to be in every set moving forward in a standard set. And this got a lot of people excited because, now you have the chance of opening a lottery card with every pack, Battle for Zendikar. In the future, the EV of sealed boxes might go up because you have the chance of opening like a Scalding Tarn or Flooded Strand that looks totally kick-ass. But with like Kaladesh bringing that stuff too, it kind of brings that prospect down a little bit. People aren't going to want to hoard one of the worst sets of all time. I think it's a pretty terrible set, but I don't think it's one of the worst sets of all time. Getting back to Kaladesh Inventions, they pretty much did the exact same thing that they did in Battle for Zendikar's Expeditions, whereas instead of it actually being lands this time, it was artifacts. It had this theme to it, just like the block beforehand, or 2 blocks beforehand. And so, you know, it made sense aesthetically with the plane itself, Kaladesh. You know, it's already heavily focused on artifacts and artifact synergies and stuff like that. So it makes sense to reprint pretty much the best artifacts ever printed in Magic's history, like Soul Ring and I can't think of any others, Ensnaring Bridge, and there's a million others. There's like 45 of them if I'm not mistaken. And you know, when they did that, when they showed the second wave of the Masterpiece series, or the Expeditions, Inventions, whatever the fuck you want to call them, the lottery tickets, as I like to call them, because that's what they are essentially, is just they're lottery tickets. When they released the second wave of them for Kaladesh and Aether Revolt, and they confirmed that it was going to be a thing with every standard set moving forward, you know, it had me step back a little bit and try and look at Magic from a different perspective. And as a player, as a newer player from like 2010 to 2013, you know, I probably would have been super excited by that. But I guess just like over the years, and after just like paying close attention to Wizards of the Coast and stuff, I just can't help but feel jaded about the whole thing. You know, it just, all it is, it feels like it's just a way to sell packs, you know. I mean, yeah, you do have that extra value. People say like, why are you complaining about opening extra value in your Wizards of the Coast booster packs? And I'm not. You know, it's sweet to get awesome cards, and then you can throw them in your EDH decks or whatever, and you can use them in draft. I mean, they're cards that you can use, and they're valuable, so you can't really complain about that. But at the same time, it's just like, how desperate is Wizards of the Coast trying to sell packs? It seems like they're really, really, really trying to push it, and like, I'm essentially calling water wet at this point, because it's very obvious, because, I mean, they're a big corporation. The thing that they care the most about is their bottom line. You know, if there's any other way to get them to help sell more booster packs, they're going to do it. It's just shy of committing actual black magic and sacrificing goats to Satan or whatever. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did it anyways, because, well, it's Magic the Gathering, so, and a lot of Christian moms in the 90s thought that it was a satanic game to begin with, so, I mean, it fits perfectly. And me saying that I was jaded and, like, being cynical and all that, it had me thinking. It was like, okay, so Battle for Zendikar had lands, and Kaladesh had artifacts. So, what would come in Amonkhet? I mean, they already said that there was gods that were going to be in the set and everything, so it naturally got me and a bunch of other people thinking like, hey, maybe it's going to be enchantments, because the last time we saw gods was in Theros, and that was an enchantment themed block. And since, you know, the whole lottery tickets have been following a theme, it would make sense enchantments. So come yesterday, they spoiled all of the cards. I think they gave all the cards to like streamers or some other yahoos in the Magic the Gathering community, and it turns out there is no focus, there is no theme for this set. Instead of it being called Inventions, they're being called Invocations. And throughout this video, I'm probably going to be having an image of the cards right here going as I'm talking about this stuff, just so you all aren't bored by looking at my face. You can see the cards with the butt ugly fucking frames. That's one thing I gotta hate on Wizards for, is the new stuff, the new masterpieces are called the Invocations, yet there isn't a single card in there that has the word Invocation in it. I mean, like, granted, all the Invocation cards throughout Magic's history, if I can recall correctly, are all not that good. I mean, you have Invocation of Saint Traft, and then like Talrand's Invocation and Jiraga Invocation, and no, those aren't good. But I think it'd be funny to throw like Invocation of Saint Traft in there, just like as a little burn to players. That would be so. That'd be a great troll move. So the Invocations are essentially powerful spells. Let's stuff like a bunch of counter spells, actually, just like the best counter spells in Magic history. You got like Counterspell itself, Daze, Spell Pierce, Stifle, Cryptic Command, Force of Will, Mana Drain. I don't think Mana Drain's in there. People would have lost their shit if Mana Drain was in there. Maybe it has, I don't know. I can't tell off the top of my head if it was in there or not, but yeah, pretty much just all the best counter spells in Magic. And there are some other marquee cards in there too, like Wrath of God and like Chain Lightning and Dark Ritual and a bunch of other stuff. And that had me thinking for a minute, because the first time we saw a common as a masterpiece was Ornithopter back in Aether Revolt. And I was livid about that. I did not like the fact that a common such as Ornithopter got turned into like a special lottery ticket card because, you know, it's Ornithopter. No one really gives a shit about Ornithopter except modern Affinity players. But this time around with Amonkhet, the commons that they printed were actually good ones, like Counterspell and Chain Lightning and Dark Ritual, you know, actually good, awesome spells that would actually see a pretty decent demand. Because, I mean, everyone's going to want that special cool looking counterspell. Everyone's gonna want the full art Chain Lightning or anything like that. Like, if you're going to do masterpieces at the common, or if you're gonna pick common cards for the masterpieces, make them sweet. Don't pick Ornithopter. Don't pick a fucking O2 flying for 0 mana. No, just just pick the good cards. I think they learned that with Aether Revolt. Maybe not. Who cares? Like, their design and development is years ahead of me. From what I understand, they make sets like a year, 2, 3 years before it actually comes out into print. So who knows? Maybe the Invocations in Hour of Devastation and the stuff in the block after that is just not going to be good. It's going to be on par with Ornithopter. Who knows? Back onto those butt ugly fucking frames, man. Ugh. They don't look aesthetically pleasing to me personally. There's the proxy guy on Twitter. He, if you don't follow him, go check him out. He makes sweet proxy designs. He was messing around with the cards themselves because he was changing the borders, like essentially removing the borders or giving pillars on the sides and stuff, and it just makes it look way better. And why do I think it looks bad? Well, because it's so blocky. Like, that's its main thing. It looks like a bunch of fucking Legos was like built, made this 3D design, and then they took a picture with it and then like just did it. Like, does that make any sense? It makes sense to me, but it looks bad. I posted on Twitter that the frames themselves looks like bad PS1 renders, and that's personally what I think, because they just, when you look at other Magic the Gathering cards, and I know there's other people that are going to have arguments about this, like, oh, it doesn't look like a Magic the Gathering card. Yeah, well, they're kind of right, because it doesn't look like the Magic the Gathering card. It looks like some weird white and, like, white blocky thing with hieroglyph text for the name, and it's like all blended in, so it's kind of hard to decipher, and I think that was intentional, but at the same time, it was a bad fucking idea, Wizards. Like, please don't do that again. Like, I want to be able to read the card. I don't want to have to read the text box and like see like, oh, this is Counterspell, or like, oh, this is Austere Command. I think that's one of the invocations, but you wouldn't be able to fucking tell because it's all jumbled like bullshit along the top. It's like almost ineligible. Not ineligible. It is not legible. How many times have I fucked up in this video? A lot. Whatever. But yeah, aesthetic complaints aside, I think the invocations themselves are sweet. I'm still super jaded about the whole lottery ticket thing, and they only exist to sell packs because they want people to come into the store and buy stuff. You know, this also might have to play into Magic Digital Next and whatever that's going to bring in the future, because there's treasure chests on there, and it makes me wonder, like, with their online products, if these masterpieces have something to do with that. I would not be surprised if that were the case. And then again, I'm not like some sort of expert. I'm not from the future. I can't tell you if Wizards' nefarious plans, or if I'm calling them out correctly or not. But yeah, what do you all think of these? Do you disagree with me? Do you think they look good? And why? Tell me why in the comments. Please explain to me why you think they look good, because Lord knows I'm not going to change my position on it, because I'm stubborn and I refuse to learn from my mistakes, and I'm garbage and no one cares about me. I'm going to live alone and die alone, and I'm sad and pathetic. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Anyways, I'm Tasty Snackies. You all have been wonderful, and I'll catch you on the flip side.